Welcome to Empowerment Solutions. I'm your host, Dr. Friedemann, and today I want to talk about another way we are losing our power unconsciously and what we can do to take it back. There's actually a force in our daily lives that is so powerful that we are overriding any inner signals. Well, this force is time. Time is really incredibly omnipotent and omnipresent in our life, isn't it? How many times a day are you looking at the watch and asking yourself, is it time to go home from work? Is it time to eat something? Is it time to go to bed? Because, well, it's only 10 o'clock. I shouldn't be tired yet. I shouldn't go to bed yet. And we let time dictate what we do and how we are feeling versus really checking in with ourselves, being our own authority. Now, I'm not saying that we should never look at time. Certain things are useful. You want to reach your train or your plane on time. It's kind of nice when you're invited somewhere and you're arriving on time. It's also good to know when you have been already working 10 hours that it is time probably to stop, even though you think you should be doing more because you have been putting a lot of time into your work. So there are certain things that I think is useful with time. We are, again, very much used to it. In the very good old days, hundreds of years ago, it was about the sun. When the sun went up, you got up. When the sun goes down, you rest. And it's not only about the hours, it's also about the years, which has to do, again, with how we are supposed to feel. A friend of mine said, well, when you're 55, you're gonna gain at least, 2-3 pounds a year because that's what's gonna happen. And when you're 60, then you're gonna start feeling the aches and pains. And when you're 65, you will feel more and more tired. So this programming on how you're supposed to feel according to that time, again, very random, but it sinks into our subconscious. And I do believe that we respond to it. We are memorizing it somehow, and our body says, oh, I guess I should be feeling tired now, or I should gain weight now, or maybe we are also not paying so much attention anymore because we're telling ourselves, well, I'm going to gain weight anyhow, so why not have another piece of cake? Whatever we are doing, it is not necessarily something we're choosing, but we are feeling we just do it because it's time to do it. But let's talk about in specific details. What can we do to take some of the power back from time? So the first thing you can do to take some of the power back from time is to look less at your watch or your phone. Wonder less what time it is. And you may start on the weekends where you just have more freedom anyhow, and you're simply checking in more with yourself and listen to the signals of your body rather than that artificial framework of time. Ask yourself, am I ready to get out of bed? Or do I feel like, what, this feels really nice. I'm going to completely relax and I'm going to naturally notice the moment when it's time to get up. How do I feel? Is it time to eat? Do I feel like eating? Am I hungry? Or am I actually full still? So I don't eat anything. I'm just going to wait until my body signals me, now it's time to eat. And it's not time to eat because it's noon or it's 6 o'clock or whatever. It's like time to eat because my body tells me I needed some fuel. I need, some energy back. Same thing with tiredness. Same thing with, how much you want to invest in a certain activity. Just stay with it. Some people give themselves only permission to read a book for 30 minutes, or they feel like, playing with their kids. Well, after 45 minutes, we should be done. Look how much we have done. And they don't allow themselves to get lost in the actual joy of whatever it is they're doing. So instead of looking always at time, just be present in the moment and just go with the flow of the moment, and let yourself be a little bit more carried through the day. Because let's face it, for most of the time, we do have a sense of being urged and being rushed by time. So if you have the luxury to not to look at it, at the watch, at time, take that opportunity and see how freeing it feels to be off that schedule and just be aware that you can do whatever you want to do because it is your day, your weekend, and ultimately it's your life. Another thing I really feel can be very helpful to take power back from time is to stop asking time for permission. I mentioned before the permission to eat, the permission to sleep, the permission to stop working out, the permission to stop working, the permission to leave, a gathering because I have been already there for 2 hours, the permission to walking your dog because you already have been walking for 30 minutes, time to stop it. And there is no real asking what we really want. So just instead of going into this structure of time gives me permission or time tells me to do what I'm supposed to do, really ask yourself simply, what does this moment need right now? Looking at your dog, does a dog still feel like, I need to go a little bit longer? Do it. If you feel the need to go to bed, do it. Doesn't matter. Even if the sun is still shining, you have the right to give yourself that space to simply listen to whatever inside of you says, I need to put my head on the pillow. I need some rest. If you feel like this party is not really what you want, go home when you want to. Don't feel like you have to endure it any longer. So this permission structure of time, if you can cut a little bit away from this and really choose more what the moment needs and what you need, a lot going to feel more empowering. And you're going to also feel more in sync with yourself. Another one is also with work. So many people value, whether they are studying or whether they are working, they value how much time they have spent with a certain activity. And that is the reason, I think, why we are always so busy. We are feeling like we have to really, put all these hours into our job or into our studies because that shows that we really try and that we are committed or that we have value. But in the end, is it really true that if you are doing something longer, that you actually do more? Or is it also true that you could potentially do the things you need to do at work, for example, or even, when you go and study for a test or a library, and that you could do this in a much shorter amount of time, and then you would be free afterwards. And maybe it feels uncomfortable. Maybe there feels like, oh my God, after 6 hours, I'm done. Well, that looks lazy. That is not very motivated. In the office, everyone is staying longer. Well, I should actually also stay longer. Well, what if you actually are done with what you needed to do and you felt very efficient, very productive, but now it's time to leave? Now, not all that have a job have this permission to leave when they have done their job. But maybe you are in a position where you realize I'm only gluing myself longer to the desk and doing some really not important tasks because I'm thinking that I should be productive longer. That I'm thinking, well, if I don't work 12 hours, it wasn't really a ambitious day, or I wasn't really in it to win it. And so we are using this time concept as a justification or a way to measure our contribution. And I think it's very, very arbitrary, because you can just set yourself goals for the day, and you can simply say, these are the 6 things or 5 things I want to get done, and you focus on that. And if you really are focused and you are not distracted and you don't feel like you have to stretch time because you otherwise, are again looking at yourself as potentially lazy or complacent. If you really feel like, I'm gonna be done when I'm done, maybe, maybe you actually notice it takes me way less time than I thought. And when it comes to the years we are living, again, another kind of arbitrary way of getting these instructions and how you're supposed to feel or where you're supposed to be in your life. Just also take your power back by realizing you are your own architect of your life. It's your journey, it's your work of art, it's your garden, whatever you want to use as a metaphor for your life. You don't have to follow the structure of time. Now, first of all, there are so many young people that are saying that they are afraid of falling behind, that there are these benchmarks that they have to reach. I talked to a few recently that I met in Florida, and they told me about, I need to be married by this age, I need to have my own house by this age, I need to have a promotion in the next 6 months. I mean, there's all this time pressure that they're feeling. It's almost like a race. And if they are not really in that place they're supposed to be in, that phase of life they are supposed to be in, they're thinking everyone else is, they go into a panic. And I think the problem is that we don't really allow life just to be an experience. We are seeing life more like a cookie cutter, and we have to somehow squeeze ourselves into it, and it has to look a certain way, and everyone has to really do what is expected from us to do. And how much are we missing out? So don't be afraid of some idea of the things that you have to be reaching by 25 or 30 or 35, and just allow yourself to have your own experience in life. I'm not saying that you should just sit on the couch and let life pass by, but I'm saying that you should ask yourself from a place of curiosity and also introspection. What do I really want? Maybe there was a purpose for us to venture off and try new things. So this idea of we have to really stick with what feels safe, this security more important than freedom, being in a already well thought out path that just leads you automatically until retirement, like a railway track, that feels somehow better than just forging forward and seeing what life brings. I think we have to make a decision at some point, which do we really relate to more? And I think that's where time plays a role, because time is telling us, you're running out of time. You're already 30. You should find a mate, or the biological clock is ticking. You should already have a family, or you're already 35. You should really now have been at this level in your career. And is it all true? Because that purpose was for me not what my parents thought I should be doing, which was going into medicine. So I followed the track. It was nicely laid out. And then I completely derailed it because it wasn't really me. And I really felt that I rather have wasted time than doing something that I really don't feel is who I am, just because I already have put 15 years into it. I think there is no waste of time, because everything is teaching you something. Every experience is an opportunity for us to learn and grow and find out more about life in itself, and certainly ourselves. So nothing I did, even if I didn't continue it, or even if I only did it for a short amount of time, was a waste. So just allow yourself to go back to the concept of this is a journey that has one goal, which is to live in the most authentic and fulfilled way. And for that, we don't have to necessarily follow these arbitrary rules. For that, we don't have to let time dictate ourselves what benchmarks to reach, what goals to have, what to focus on. Because if we do that, again, we are not living really the life that we want to live. We are living the life that we are supposed to live, or we are thinking we are supposed to live. And that feels really like a waste. So taking energy or power or focus back from time is not only helping you to be more free, but it also helps you to gain a greater awareness and become more in tune with yourself. Because rather than following time as your guide, follow your heart, follow those inner voices, this inner compass that we all have that leads us on the path that is right for us. Not just in the bigger picture, but also in smaller ways, in daily ways. I hope this gave you some food for thought. I hope it gave you some, also inspiration on what you can do to take your power back, another way to empower yourself. If you like the video, please press the like button, subscribe to the feed. That would really make a difference for me. And always, I love comments or questions, and I answer them as quickly as I can. Thank you for listening. Hi, Dr. Friedemann here. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about fear and anxiety, here you'll find guided meditations, webinars, and interviews with some of the most renowned experts in the field of empowerment. Delve into the over 230 videos and more to come every week.